Hey everyone, welcome back. This is the second video in my Essential Guitar Skills series. If you haven't seen the first video, I'll leave that in the description below. My name's Mr. Saric, and this is my guitar class. In today's lesson, we're going to cover picking. I'm going to start with the basics, but later in the video I will cover some more advanced techniques. Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is learn how to hold a pick. Now, picks come in various shapes, sizes, and flexibilities, so it'll be up to you to experiment and figure out what you like best. I'm going to show you on the standard size, and you can use this concept to hold any pick. Start by holding the tip of the pick with your left hand. With the thumb of your right hand, make a T, and then give it a little bit of angle. After that, take your index finger and put it on the back. Now, when you let go of your left hand, you should be left with just the tip of the pick sticking out. This is so it doesn't dig too deep into the string. This is one of the most common mistakes I see, and I equate it to being on a breakaway, and instead of going for the sure thing, the dunk or the layup, you would just go for a three-pointer. It doesn't make much sense in terms of accuracy. The closer you are to the strings, the better your accuracy is going to be. Excellent. So now that you know how to hold your pick correctly, we need to get on the guitar. So what you're going to do is you're going to place this part of your wrist on the strings. Yes, on the strings. Let's just start by dispelling a myth. The myth is that you're not allowed to touch the strings. Well, I think that's absolutely absurd, because if you walked into a dark house at night and you needed to find your way around, what do? You reach for something, and once you touch something you recognize, you're then going to be able to figure out how to get around your house. Same goes for the guitar. You need to have contact with a piece of the guitar in order to let you know. Now, the string that you're not allowed to touch is going to be the one that you're picking. So if we're picking the first string, we're allowed to rest on the strings up here. Alright, now we're going to get to the picking motion. The motion we want is as if our wrist is screwed right to the guitar. So let's get that on the screen. And we're going to be rotating around that point only. Okay? The other thing is, we don't want to start on the string. Okay, so your pick should not be touching the string that you want to pick before you actually pick it. Otherwise, it's going to sound a lot like this. Okay, so what you're doing is you're stopping the string every single time you pick. What we want to do is start off the string and power through it, and then get our hand back into between the second and first strings and power through it again. So this is what it should sound like. Alright, so let's try this together. Now what we're going to do is, as we pick, we're going to look at our pick to get comfortable and to see exactly where it needs to go. While we do this, we're going to use a metronome. This is a metronome, and what it does is it keeps a steady beat for us. The better we can follow this, the better our music is going to sound once we actually get there. So here it is. Let's try and follow that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link an online version of a metronome in the description below, and you can go try it on your own. Pause the video if you need, come back when you're ready. The next thing we're going to do is try and pick without looking. The reason I don't want you to look is eventually we're going to add fingers here, and you're going to have some sort of music in front of you. And we really don't want to end up looking like this. So we're going to start by looking, and once you're comfortable, I want you to lift your head. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever you're comfortable, lift your head. Continue picking. Once you're able to do this with just one string, I'd like you to go back and forth between the first and the second string. Okay? I'm going to demo it, but I'd like you to pause the video and try this on your own with a metronome. Okay, so you're looking at it. First, second, second. And once you're comfortable, I want you to look away. But keep going, of course. So the last thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to play between the first string and the third string. So we're skipping a string, okay? Again, you want to start by looking, look up when you're comfortable. I'm not going to show you a demo of that. I want to move on to the lower strings. So you should be able to do this with any combination of strings. But like I was saying earlier, it's okay to touch the strings, just not the one you're playing. Well, what ends up happening is as you move up the strings, you'll notice there's less and less to rest on. And for some of you, it won't be possible. It'll be a little awkward to rest on the body of the guitar. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our fingers, spread a little bit, to touch the lower strings. The trick is not to plant your fingers, okay? And you're going to play the skipping string game here. And you'll notice I'm still getting that good motion in the wrist. Alright, so I'm back with an electric guitar, and I think the point I just made is compounded once you get to an electric guitar. Because what will end up happening is you will gain a little bit of feedback as well from the fact that the amplifier is sending out sound waves, and it's actually vibrating the strings once you start playing. So I'm going to try to demonstrate that here. This song is called Two Guitars, and I'm going to play it correctly first, the way I told you, hand on the strings, and then I'll play it incorrectly right after. So here we go. Okay, so that's just the beginning. Here it is incorrectly. You hear the background there? And I put my hand on it, and suddenly it disappears. So I definitely recommend it, especially if you're going to be playing with gain. Make sure your hand's covering the strings you're not playing. Sorry, just one second. Something I wanted to address. I know a lot of people might say that, yes, you were playing short notes, and because of that, you were getting a little bit more background noise than usual. Well, here is a passage. We'll just go with a nice smooth passage and see what happens. So I still think it's noticeable there. Now, it is obviously a little bit less noticeable, but it's just going to sound a little bit cluttered, right? The tone's not going to be as clean. Before we get any further, I just want to cover one of the biggest mistakes that I see when it comes to picking, and that is something that I call anchoring your fingers, or planting your fingers. So the difference between what I'm doing and planting your fingers is that when you plant your fingers, they don't move from the position that you've put them in. And what will happen is, if you're planting, for example, here on the body, I can no longer rotate my wrist like I need to because this knuckle doesn't bend that way. So what will end up happening is you get a picking motion much like this. Okay? And the same thing happens when you grab a string. If you're holding on to a string specifically, you're now no longer allowing your wrist to rotate. You're grabbing that string and you're getting that kind of a motion. So try to avoid anchoring. It is okay to touch the body and the strings as long as it's not the one that you're picking at the time. But remember, do not anchor your fingers. At this point in the video, I want to talk about a little bit more advanced technique called alternate picking. So what we've been doing so far is just picking on the downstroke. What alternate picking is you're picking both up and down. The nice part about alternate picking is that there's less wasted motion. And I'll show you what I mean. When you pick down, you're going to pick down and you have to come back up anyways. When you're alternate picking, instead of wasting the up motion just to get your pick there, you hit the string again. Okay? And this is going to be particularly useful for more advanced guitarists because at a certain point, you're not going to get away with just picking down. In fact, you can actually double the speed because you're not wasting that motion. Let me give you an example here. So here is as fast as I can pick, just going down. Okay? Here's how fast I can pick going up and down. Some people will try this and still not understand why they aren't able to get it to the same speed as what I just did there. And I think it comes down to the way that you practice. A lot of people will try the down and up stroke and will use a very big stroke. Here's what I mean by that. Okay, so if you're doing that, what you need to realize is in order to get it faster, you need to look at the efficiency of that movement. So at a slow speed, we need to start playing as close as possible to the string. So what that means is the second your pick comes off the string, we should try and leave it there and get ready for the up. If you're able to do that, then you can start picking up the speed little bit by little bit because you still want the notes to be even. A lot of times people will just try and vibrate and get something on the string there, but not the way to do it. Okay, you start slow, you look at the movement that you're doing, make sure it's efficient, and build the speed up. All right, let's recap. So the reason for learning this is so that once you're able to do this without looking, you're going to be able to focus a little bit more on your left hand and on reading music. Holding the pick as close to the tip as possible so that when you're on the strings, it's going to be more accurate. Your wrist needs to rest on the strings and the motion of is only in the wrist. start picking off the string, alternate picking, try the part on efficiency. If you like the video, hit the like button and please consider subscribing. Also, if you have any guitar related questions, leave them in the comments below and that will guide my future videos. Thanks for watching.